want you to call us. Phone lines open from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday through Friday. Residents of Flint, we are waiting to hear from you. Call 313-868-4336. Water crisis in Flint. Detroit wants to hear from you. WHPR-TV Detroit, a division of Watkins Broadcasting. Simpson's Record Shop, serving Metro Detroit for 49 years in the same neighborhood at 2961 East McNichols Road and Joseph Campbell Street. We specialize in music, gospel, R&B, blues, jazz, and rap. We also carry music accessories, record player needles, and quite a selection of snacks and old school candy. We're good at finding out-of-print items. For more information, call 313-891-2400. Simpson's Record Shop. We're here to serve you.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Boyd, and I want to speak to you about Operation Congo Medical Supply Relief, a maternal health care crisis in the heart of Africa. Right now, in the Congo, women and children are at risk of dying from lack of adequate maternal health care services. Reverend Jim Holley and World Medical Relief Services are working together to provide surplus medical supplies and equipment to a Descu Charity Foundation in the Congo. With your support, together we can act to save the lives of women and children of the Congo who are at risk due to lack of adequate maternal health care services. To help facilitate this medical shipment, please go to www.operationcongo.org or call 240-551-7133. We must reject a world where women and children continue to die from lack of access to available maternal health care services. To support this effort, go to www.operationcongo.org or call 240-551-7133.
You're watching W33BY, Detroit, Highland Park, Michigan.
We've got jobs that need skills in areas like healthcare.
Jumpstart your healthcare career at Wayne County Community College District.
We are moving towards the career technical education field in the areas of allied health, health sciences.
Outstanding health science programs in nursing, surgical technology, dental hygiene, and emergency medical technology.
It's been an amazing program. It's a state-of-the-art facility with over 200 degrees and accredited certifications.
Visit wccccd.edu. Register today.
When you're having a heart attack, this is how it feels to your heart. And if it happens at night or on the weekend, there's only one hospital team standing by on site to save you. Cardio Team 1 at the DMC. Not on call, but on site, 24/7, 365. Cutting heart attack response time to half the national standard. Cardio Team 1, now at the new DMC Heart Hospital opening this summer. The beat goes on.
Women, married or single, if you are sexually active, you need to be tested for HIV/AIDS right now. If you are considering engaging in protected or unprotected sexual behavior with a new partner, get tested and insist that he is tested as well. Women get tested, especially if you are pregnant or considering childbirth. Information concerning HIV/AIDS programs, call 313-876-0548.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of W33BY, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
And top of the morning to you, Jim Holley here with you on this Saturday morning, 21 days into the month of May, and of course the year is still the same, 2016. Once again, we say good morning to you, and we thank God for each and every one of you. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. My sisters and brothers, we thank you always for your support of WHBR. As I always say to you, that indeed I sound like a broken record from Saturday to Saturday, but it's still true. And that is that people don't have to be nice, and when they are, at least you could do is say thank you. And for that, we want to thank you for your support. Not only your support of WHBR, but also your support of Hello Detroit. And certainly we thank you so much for that as well. You know, my sisters and brothers, it is a live talk show. And if you're just going through the numbers on your television set, then I just want you to know it is a live talk show, and of course the numbers are right there on your television screen, and you're able to call us and let us know what your thoughts are about the various subject matters that we are talking about. Many times you can also just sound off, and certainly about things that really bothering you, and that we might be able to maybe discuss it and certainly get some solution to it, and you just never know. But right now, we just want to say thank you so much for your support. Right now, we're talking about a high today about 70 degrees on tomorrow, about 73 for tomorrow. We've got what we call sprinkle of showers throughout the metropolitan area. I don't think it's going to, it looks like an overcast in Detroit. But the thing about it is it's been brightened up by the Susan Coleman Cure Foundation that's going on in downtown Detroit, and certainly in Shane Park. And so, again, I just want you to know that the weather's going to get better. We're talking about next week in the 80s, that's right, and a little rain in the middle of the week. But right now, let's just take it one day at a time. And once again, we just say thank you and God bless each and every one of you. Call you in touch. How are you this morning? Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend Holley.
Yes, how are you?
Fine.
Good.
Fine. Reverend Holley, I want to thank you. My movie, Souls of Black Men, is shown all over the world. On movietime.com, I just put my book, Soul of a Man, in the library, Detroit Public Library. This is Rodney Rhodes. You let me shoot my movie at your beautiful church, Little Rock Baptist Church. But I just want to thank you. It's been a long time coming, but things are finally going in the right way. And God bless me with a beautiful cast, beautiful locations, Bakers, Keyboard Lounge, Fort Wayne, Highland Park High School, which won't be standing very long, but we shot the movie there.
Right.
Elijah Johnson, who plays Simba the Lion King on Broadway. Erica Hayes, she has 60 million views on BET, Centric, VH1, and MTV. And I thank you because you let me shoot my movie, Souls of Black Men, at your beautiful church.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I haven't been down that way in a while, but thank you. My name is Rodney Rhodes, and go get Soul of a Man. My book is at the Detroit Public Library. Parkman and the main location.
What's the name of it?
Have a blessed day.
What's the name again?
What's the name of the movie or the book?
Both.
Oh, my movie is Souls of Black Men. It was showed on WADL.
Right.
About a year ago, and the book is Soul of a Man.
Right. Very good.
It's at Parkman location in the main library.
Right. And we want to be supportive, and also just want to congratulate you too for the wonderful work. You're a very talented young man.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much. Again, right now it's about 15 minutes after the hour, and once again we say good morning to you, and we thank God for you. And Rodney, what he's done is he's shot a beautiful movie, and it's showing all over the world. And has a new book out, and that book is at the library. And of course, he's from right here in the metropolitan area. I think it's Highland Park is where he started out, and of course, and we just had to be supportive of all of our young people. You know, it's my generation for the most part that basically has got to do something to help the generation that's behind us in order to move forward and get ahead of us. And so I'm very happy about that, and we certainly want thank you for the call this early in the morning. And again, I just want you to know, again, that high today is going to be about 70 degrees. Right now at Metro, it's about 58 degrees. In downtown Detroit, it's about 60, 61 degrees. And I indicated to you tomorrow, a beautiful day tomorrow on this sort of working our way to the fourth Sunday of the month. And we are talking about really about 73 degrees on tomorrow. But as I indicated to you always, that we just sort of take take it a day at a time. A lot of things we could talk about this morning, and certainly one of the things I want to do is give you this statistics in terms of this article that came in about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I didn't really get through it, but I want to make sure, and I understand many of you not only listen, but you take notes, and that you, and when I give you information, you certainly want to be able to use this information, and if not, at least digest it and try to have some conversation about it. And so I just want you to know that, again, that this article was in the Detroit News, and you can certainly go online if you need more about it. I apologize for not the young lady that wrote the article. Orlando is her first name. I just can't remember. Should have put it down, and I apologize to you. But again, I want to make sure she gets the credit. This is not my statistics. It's the statistics that came out of the article that she wrote. And again, we're talking about 10% of the Michigan children. Michigan's children have parents in prison. 10% of children in Michigan have parents that's in prison. And I wanted to give you sort of another a piece of this and the synopsis of the article, and also to have some, at least put it on your conscience, you know, how this is really should not just be ignored. We got a lot of issues in the city of Detroit, and certainly in the state of Michigan. And of course, a lot of problems. I know that, but somehow, some kind of way, we got to prioritize our problems and try to deal with them, and not to think that somebody else is going to deal with them, but we got to deal with them ourselves. And of course, among them, of course, is this thing about this article and this whole situation. About 10% of Michigan children have parents in prison, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't able to get through it in terms of giving you the synopsis of it, and really the damage that it does for our families as well. So wanted to make sure I get to that, and then also give some information about and have some discussion in regards to what's going on with the public school system. I met with one of the board members that met with Judge Rose in a couple of days ago, when he gave the board about an hour of meeting. As I understand it, by this board member, that there was no he didn't have a discussion, but basically he listened and took notes, you know, that kind of a thing, and but no real discussion. The other thing I want to make sure that we talk about somehow this day and this morning is that that my understanding is, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that Judge Rose is a transition manager, not what you call an emergency manager under the law, but a transitional manager, and so. And what is the difference? Or is it just semantics, or is it just, you know, what's the difference? And we really need to get a comprehension on this, because again, I just want you to know it's nothing. I'm not trying to say this or that or that or this. I'm just want you to know. I just want you to know so that you can basically discuss and try. When you have the intelligence about a situation, then you have an opportunity to really do something about it as well. So I want to talk about what is the difference. He is really called a transition manager and not necessarily a emergency manager. Is there a difference? And so we want to get into that this morning as well. I had a meeting with about 32 ministers, pastors in the church this past week. I want to give you an idea of what that was about and what we're trying to do. As we went through that, we found out there are other people meeting in regards to the same issue in terms of what's going on with the Detroit public school system. And of course, perhaps why are 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 really meeting without telling the other pastors that they are meeting, and so they won't be duplicating. So we won't be duplicating our efforts. Or how can we work together? And one of the things that happened, I've been in Detroit, half of my life, and my sisters and brothers, I've come to realize that this whole thing about divide and conquer is very successful in Michigan, and certainly in this region. Divide and conquer, and it happens all the time. And sometimes, for the most part, you and I fall into this trap, this devious trap that the devil sets, the enemy sets for us, and that we basically find ourselves really arguing with each other, talking at each other, fighting with words with each other, and then of course, while we are basically fighting each other and arguing at each other, then before you know it is things that are changing and decisions are made, and we still arguing and still fighting, and this is one of the things that happens here. That's my opinion of what happens here in the city of Detroit, when it happens in this region as well as in the state of Michigan. And that's the reason why many times we really can't get anything done, anything accomplished. That's my points of reference at this particular point. If you want to have a call, you're certainly welcome to do that. The numbers are right there on your television, 868-0342, 868-0351, and 868-4336. Those are the numbers. Those of you listening by way of internet, you certainly can give us a call. 313 is the area code, and the numbers are still the same. And you're welcome to give us a call in terms of in terms of the issue or the concern that you might have this morning as well. Again, I wanted to give these statistics to you and give you this article, synopsis of this article, that you might be able to have it and have a discussion, and when you go to your various meetings, and what do you think we can do, and how can we kind of get a hold of this, and knowing that the impact when you have children, have parents in prison, and it's possible, and I don't remember the number, the statistics that they gave me in regards to if you got parents in prison, the possibility of children who have parents in prison end up going to prison themselves. In some cases, we got 2 generations, 3 generations in prison, and of course that is rough. That is rough. And so we got that on top of homicide, and we got that on top of shootings that don't result in homicide. When you, on top of that, you got miseducation, poor education, or none at all in some of the situations. What about these young adults that's 19 and over? What about their education? What about adult education? We don't talk about it or anything, and of course we don't realize that these are the people that is a pipeline to prison, because for the most part they don't have the skills, don't have the reading skills and comprehension skills and all to be able to really get a job. And when jobs do come, are we able to master those jobs because we don't have the skills for them? So those are the kind of things that we really got to understand, my sister and brother, that I try to basically, as the messenger. I know some of you feel like I need to be more than that, but I'm just saying to you is that what I feel like that my job is from time to time is to give you the message as the messenger. This is again from the Detroit News. Michigan is the largest among states, the highest number of children that have parents behind prison bars. Some 228,000 children, 1 out of 10, have a parent incarcerated. And this is coming from an organization that talks about incarceration of kids, families, and communities. The Kid Count is another project and another organization. And what the director of that organization says from Kid Counts, having an incarcerated parent, past or present, is a traumatic experience that can lead to increased poverty, stress, and unstable environments that affects a child's health as well as the academic performances. Too long, Michigan's outdated corrections policies has been hurting our economy as well as our state budget. And this report shows that they're doing the same to our families and also to our kids. A family income can drop as much as 22% when it comes down to a father incarcerated. Well-being children in the household are deeply affected as children are domestic affected with violence. There are more than 250,000 children struggling with incarcerated parents in Michigan, and that number is too high, and it's too high, my sisters and brothers, for any of us just to sit around and disregard it. Nationally, now watch this now, on the national level, there are 5 million children across the country have a parent in prison. And, you know, my sister, but again, this is not just black. These statistics deals with black, white, and brown. And so I just want you to understand that I'm not trying to make this an alarming a factor in terms of just for blacks, but you and I know I couldn't find the statistics and really the data in regards to the breakdown of black, white, and brown. But I just want you to know that we're talking about 5 million children across this country have at least one parent in prison. The report found African American youngsters are 7 times likely to have a parent behind bars. That's as close as I can get with the article, and that is that 7 times likely to have a parent. African American children are 7 times likely to have a parent that's behind bars. Latino youngsters are 3 times more likely than white children having a parent behind prison bars. 42 to 43,000. We have about 42 to 43,000 people that's incarcerated in Michigan prisons. 42,000, but somewhere around that's incarcerated in prison. Let me just say that again. This is the state of Michigan now. When I had products in the prison system, they had about 43 to 47 prisons. Right now, I think it's in the high 30s in terms of the prisons, based on some are closed. But we're talking about in the state of Michigan, 42 to 43,000 people in prison here in the city of Detroit. And obviously, you got people coming out of prison, and they come out of prison not prepared, don't have a GED, don't have the skills or the culture, or when they come back, being in that kind of environment, how to really basically navigate their way through the times in which we live. And of course, my sisters and brothers, this is something that we need to be very much concerned about. How can we help in terms of reentry of prisons, prisoners coming out, ex-convicts coming out in Michigan's prisons? I know it may not be politically correct or how I'm saying it, but I think the point is, rather than just being politically correct, then I just want to be correct. And so I just want you to know, my sisters and brothers, that these are the things that we ought to be very much concerned about in regards to our children. And so when you put that on top of all the other stuff that's going on in Michigan, and what's going on in southeast Michigan, as well as Michigan and in the city of Detroit in particular, then you kind of really got to really understand we got a lot of work to do, a lot of work to do. You know it, and I know. Also, I'm just going to let you know that sometimes I think it's next month, I give it to you very early in the month where they're going to have an expungement piece talking about prisoners, expungement piece of peace. I'm going to try to get that information to you and make sure you get ready for it. Try to get the information that you need before you get to the place so that we can basically get you to where you can really get a job. And then those who have a job, if you get your record expunged, then you can basically get a better job, I guess is what we're trying to say. So once again, we thank you so much. Caller, thank you for your patience. How are you this morning?
You're doing pretty good, Reverend Holley.
Good.
You know, I looked at when they moved to the suburbs, and I studied the suburbs, and I don't find on this station, no station, anybody talking about what consequences of that suburbanization policy starting in the late 40s, what it how it affected us today. But the water situation is highlighting that they had a big crisis in the suburbs. Right now, all throughout the country, the pipes, the infrastructure that brings water and sewage in the suburbs are corroding, and they don't have the money to fix it. The roads are crumbling. They don't have the money to fix it. Bridges are falling. They don't have the money to fix it. So then they tell us that we had a problem in Detroit and Chicago and places like that. And I noticed something else happened. I noticed that all major cities, where blacks left in the 40s and came to and became an urban people, they have policies to force the blacks out of the major cities. Washington is not chocolate no more. Harlem is not black no more. Detroit is also rejoiced. They are rejoicing in the newspaper that population is growing. They talk about black population, so if y'all don't know. So when I'm seeing these things, Reverend Holley, I'm seeing on like this many synergies, housing policies, school policies. Those policies affect us as a people. But I find on this station, most people approaches our problem such as I, me, and my. How you can go to college and you can get out of this, and how and that has been a total failure, because King says we as a people are oppressed, and only if we will only relieve ourselves of that oppression as a people. So whenever you hear me talk, Reverend Holley, I'm talking about us and we. I'm never reducing myself to talk about what an individual can do to achieve that, what the individual go to college some kind of way. That is our as a collective achievement, and which is not. And we would never, as a community, come out from under the things if we approach it from an individual's thing. Such as this morning, when I listened to you talk about all the things we had to do, we would never come to no consensus, because you didn't have one topic, you had 1,000 topics. And so therefore that's not serving us no good. Trying to get one topic so we can come to consensus on something, but not 1,000 things, because then it just ends up as entertainment and just a show.
Gotcha.
And I just think maybe my suggestion to you, get a topic,
and then
we can deal with it.
And I appreciate that. No, I got you. It's a good point, and certainly a criticism that what I consider constructive criticism, and I appreciate it too. Just the thing about it, of course, is, and not necessarily try to defend it. It's just that I think your observation is fine. That is that when you got a 2-hour program, you got to try to make sure that you are. Some people are not interested in this and not interested in that, not interested in that, but somewhere between the smorgasbord of issues that we'll find someone that has a interest. And so again, I do understand what you're saying, and it makes sense in what you're saying, and I accept the suggesting as well. Right now it's about 36 minutes after the hour. Again, the telephone numbers are right there on your screen. And what we are talking about, of course, I was giving you information in terms of the prison population in the state of Michigan and the children who have parents that's in prison. Now, this is not just children that have a brother or sister. We're talking about children that have parents in prison. Parents in prison. And of course, when you do this across the country, and many of you and I know, many of these children are parents, but these children are African Americans and could be black and brown, and certainly a few whites as well. So whether you black, brown, or white, obviously, to have a parent in prison can be devastating to a family. But when it comes down certainly to black children, based upon all the other things that of course that Tyrone is suggesting, all those other things, of course, it really takes a toll on the family, and it always ensure poverty for that family. And that's the thing that I'm very concerned about. And that's the reason why I really advocated as to what if we're going to support a particular candidate, if we're going to support Bernie, if we're going to support Hillary. I'm sure that the audience that I'm speaking to, for the most part, will be in one of those two camps. Then what kind of deal do we have? What kind of understanding? What kind of covenant do we have with that candidate in terms of what are you going to do to help us to get out of this situation that we're in, whether it's prison reform, infrastructure, and again, I got sense enough to know that no candidate, of course, that we thought about Obama, that you just can't do everything because they're not going to let you do everything, and they're not going to do everything that they should be doing because they're not going to let you do everything that should be done. And so I'm just saying to you is that in saying all of that, should we not have some conversation in returns to Miss Hillary or Benny, but most likely Hillary Clinton is going to be the presumptive candidate on the Democratic Party? Then, should we be talking about infrastructure? Should we be talking about jobs for the minority, for African American men and women? Should we not be talking about this situation with children? Should we not be talking about the training for infrastructure? We know that the whole country is probably, especially urban America, basically needs digging up and putting new pipes in, like Flint. And Flint is just really the piece that really gets us understanding this could be going on in a lot of communities. And so if so, then how do we train? How do we get ready for what's coming up? And these are the kind of things it would seem like to me that we ought to be thinking about in terms of the future. And that's just the way I think about it. Caller, thank you for your patience. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Okay, caller, you in touch. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Yes, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. In the latter part of Dr. Martin Luther King's life, he was involved with a very detailed and passionate conversation about poverty, and began to identify and talk about poverty as one of the most severe forms of violence. And before he could launch the war on poverty, he was assassinated. Well, Reverend Holley, there are a number of people coming out of a place called the Union theological seminary in New York City that had decided, about 2 years ago, they decided that they were going to go on a tour of the United States of America and visit pockets all throughout the country, identifying, talking to, searching for low-income people, poor people, homeless people, and trying to catalog and document why is it that there are so many, millions of people around this country that are struggling for a meal, struggling for a roof, struggling for water, struggling for health care. Well, they're in the Detroit area this weekend, and Sunday they'll be preaching and visiting. Tomorrow they'll be over at Central United Methodist Church. But, Reverend, I wanted to say this to you because this is a group, very large group of people, all different colors, black, white, brown, Native American, Latinos, men, women, elderly, a lot of young people. And they have determined that the kind of documentation that they're going to take from all of these visits that they're making throughout the country is going to take them about another 2 years to get through all of this and write down all of these stories and whatnot. And they've determined that it's this system of capitalism. It's this system that says if you can't work for these big industries anymore, then why should you have education? Why should you have health care? Why should you have water and all of these kinds of things? So, and the infrastructure piece that you all are talking about this morning, I wanted to bring that up because for so long we go from day to day, week to week, thinking that there's no hope. We're fighting every kind of battle there is, especially in Michigan, in Wayne County, in Detroit. But we've got a breath of fresh air running through the country talking about this issue of poverty and making a commitment. We don't want this country to continue to live like this.
Yeah,
I just wanted to share the good news with you.
That's good.
You know, whatever it is we've been saying and talking about, a bunch of people heard us, Reverend. Okay.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for that.
All right, sir.
Thank you so much. And the thing about it is, and thank you for the call, Mrs. Taylor. The thing about it is, this whole movement with young people, whether it's in seminary, was in colleges across this country, with Bernie Sanders, and in terms of how this guy up in age has got these young people really following him and got them all roused up. I mean, you got to admit that there's a whole lot of people and dissatisfied in this country, not just the people that's going for Trump that's dissatisfied. There's a whole lot of us dissatisfied as well. And of course, these young people, and that's where it always happens in the struggle. And these young people, for the most part, are the one that is going to fight on the battlefield, whether it is in terms of demonstration or whether it's in the boardroom. This is what's got to happen, and that's the reason why I think that it's important that our young people are in school, in college, finishing school, and so that they can be able to participate in making these changes for America. That basically where you got 10% owning 90% of their wealth, and the other 90% basically have none of the wealth, or a little none of the wealth. So I'm just saying to you is that there is a movement that's going on, and it may not look like what Martin Luther King was doing, Malcolm X was doing, Marcus Garvey was doing, but there is, for the most part, a similarity in terms of what's going on with these young people in America right now. And so again, what is America going to look like 25 years from now? What culture that's going to look like? What's the culture going to look like? What is indeed the climate is going to look like? What's the political landscape that's going to look like 25 years from now? And my sisters and brothers, we got to make sure that our children are part of this change and really charting a course for this new America, so to speak. Maybe they say that Columbus founded America, but maybe there is now a new America that's needed to be discovered and will be discovered based on what's going on in this country. And the question is whether we're going to be part of it, that we're going to be part of it, that our young people that's in middle school and in elementary school and high school, that's going to be part of it. And certainly when you got these kind of statistics that I'm giving to you, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. If you got this, what's going on in the urban America as far as education, the lack of it in terms of violence, all of these kinds of things, and certainly job skills is part of it. And again, I want to make sure you understand how important it is that, yes, we need to make sure we get this Detroit Public Schools right and get it together. But also I need to make sure we understand 19 and older for adult education, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to them? What is happening to them? There's another report that I'm hopefully before I go off the air that I'll be able to give you. Many of you don't know about it, and then maybe you are. I don't mean to insult your intelligence, but this is a report that was basically done by a coalition of the future of Detroit school children that's laid out a comprehensive plan to make the quality of schools in Detroit and the Detroit families. And so these are, I got a summary of what that plan is that the Stillman Foundation put together with a lot of other people that's about 50 people or so that sat around a table that many of us obviously did not know was going on, and they came out with an interesting report. And I think for the most part, it's something that we can work with. It's something that we can work with. And so I'm just saying to you is, at least I want you to think about whether you can or not, but this is the thing that we ought to be talking about with Judge Rose. And again, want to make sure we understand, my sister and brother, again, I'm going to get to it, and that is this Judge Rose, is he an emergency manager or he's a transitional manager? And I want you to understand what the difference is. And many of you think that a transitional manager is the same as an emergency manager. And I got a feeling based upon the politics definition of wording from the political dictionary that they're not the same. And I want to make sure I give that to you and see what you think about it as well. Caller, thank you for your patience. How are you?
Thank you, Reverend Holley. Reverend Holley, as you speak and I hear the different callers call in, a question comes to mind. Now, I'd just like to put the question out there for our listening audience. And the question is, are there any alternatives to our politics? Should we be looking for alternatives to our politics? Reverend Holley, when you think about how civic operate and the whole meaning around us being able to have an electoral system, government for the people, by the people, that has since lost its true meaning, Reverend Holley. Politics are something of a different phase, in a different class, in a different genre. We think about how they operate in this particular country. Education no longer removes us from poverty. In fact, getting there or to have an educational system that will address issues of poverty, they are no longer being taught in our educational institutions. Education has failed those individuals who are seeking it, and those that have it, they have it contained in such a way that the rest of us, those of us who need that to use to advance us to higher levels of living and in class, it has failed, Reverend Holley. So my question is, has politics failed us? Should we be looking for something as an alternative to our politics? We can no longer depend on our politicians to represent us the way that they should, to address those particular issues that you brought up on this morning, Reverend Holley. Education, the prison industrial complex, how different members of our families are incarcerated. So many of them are incarcerated to a point that we can no longer look towards government as being an effective tool that we can be able to apply and to use and to vote for individuals to address issues. So there has to be an alternative. And I'll listen off air, Reverend Holley. Hopefully you can be able to address this situation from my question that I'm posing today. Has our politics failed us, and should we be looking for an alternative? Thank you so much for taking my call.
All right, man, certainly, and thank you for the call as always. And I think it is an interesting question. I'm not quite sure that I'm in a position to answer it. I really feel like obviously the government has a role to play in terms of in helping us to get to where we need to be as a people. Obviously, it's supposed to be a government by the people, for the people, of the people. That is indeed, sometimes you realize that that is a misnomer. But let me just say this, that I think that we have to have a combination of both. And obviously, I'm not quite sure what else we can do other than try to, I think all politics is local. And that somehow, some kind of way, we got to make sure that the people that we elect, we hold them accountable. And many of them are basically, once they get elected, they forget about the people that got them there. Sometimes we realize, I realize that politicians sometimes act like that we work for them rather than the other way around. That once they're in there, that they have this a sense that they are set, because when you're incompetent and coming, when you're in office and running again, that most likely you're going to be able to stay there, and many of them do for decades. But I'm just saying to you, my sisters, brother, that those are the kind of things that really need to change. And if you indeed show one or two that you really work for us, that we don't work for you, then you basically send a message out there that you got to get something done. Changes got to be made, and then you got Congress people that's got 2 years, and so you basically end up being a fundraiser trying to stay in office. You got some situations in government, especially with judges, is 7 years, and senators is 7 years. And so, I'm just saying to you is that this whole, the so-called founding fathers, they didn't have no idea what was going on then, what's going on right now. Obviously, they had no idea. And so I'm just saying to you is that I think, Larry, that somehow, some kind of way, government has to still be part of it. And it's a tool. It's how you use the tool. I can take a hammer, and I can take a hammer basically to open up something, or I can take a hammer to close something. And it's really how you use the hammer, how you use the tool, and how to use government to help the people. And, for example, I know that blight situations are very prevalent for the city of Detroit. But could some of this money for blight that the government has given us, give it to the people to stay in Detroit, in their houses, and therefore keep the property from being blighted? I'm not sure if I said it right. I hope I did. But government, like, you're going to give me money to, and we should. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't tear down these abandoned homes and all this kind of stuff, but also, could some of this money used to keep the people in their home? You understand? Am I making sense to you? Am I really making sense to you? I mean, rather than take all the money, put some of the money into to people who have stayed in Detroit. Give us an incentive to stay here. Give us an incentive to stay in our own home, so it won't be a blighted situation. Give us an incentive to own the lot, or the 2 lots that's next door. Give us an incentive to build something next door. Give us an incentive to basically put block clubs and neighborhoods organize and so that they can basically have an invested interest in their own community, in their own block. And I'm just saying to you is that there are all kinds of ways we ought to be thinking about this. I used to belong to I was on the board of an organization, and I won't give the name of it, but I was on the board, and it was a multi-million-dollar organization, but the father, for the most part, when he was building the organization, he built it from ground up. So the son comes in and basically starts selling off the property that the father had basically accumulated, because he didn't have the interest, he didn't have the know-how, didn't want to hire the know-how and all this to make things work that his father's dream had been dreaming all along. So it was easy to sell the property rather than to find a way to use the property. And so I raised the question. And of course, I was voted off about 6 months later, voted off the board for just asking this one question. And that is, have you ever thought about just trying to fulfill your father's dream? Have you ever thought about that you can do and turn with the property that you already have and make it be viable and make it effective for what your father wanted to do? Or is it just your job and your vision is to tear everything down? And I'm just saying to you, my sisters and brothers, that sometimes we have to understand that we got incentives, sort of incentives the people that are coming into the community. We've indicated that there are people that's not supposed to be spectators, not spectators, but people that come in to invest in the community and not live in the community, that you're supposed to sell houses to people. And so I'm just saying to you, they're supposed to stay in the houses after you sell them. And so, but also, should we not have an incentive from the federal government to give us some money in order to keep the people who basically have done sacrifice so much for the last 6 years while we were going through this whole thing about bankruptcy, and struggled to stay here. Give them an incentive. Give an incentive to the senior citizens. Should not that be? And so to me, Larry, that is where the federal government could be very helpful, in regards to us, rather than basically throwing them away and seeing it doing it to us. The problem with many of us, we just don't have access to capital. We just don't have that. We don't have access to money. If somebody would give me a ticket, and it was a multi-million-dollar lottery ticket or whatever, and give it to me, my sisters and brothers, there's so much I could do. There's so much you could do if someone did the same thing for you. It's so much that we could do if we have access to capital, and we just don't have it. We got churches that are basically folding. There was a church that I looked on they sent me a picture of a church that the preacher was evicted, where the churches are upside down. And by the grace of God, we were there as well. And somehow, some kind of way, the Lord worked it out for us, because we all in this thing, whether we're in the church house or the other house. The point is, we all in this thing together. Take a short break. Will be a short break. We'll come back. We'll continue to talk to you and give you these, I think, some key points that the Coalition of Future of Detroit School System laid out for us, and see what you think about it.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of W33BY, its affiliates, management, or sponsors. You're watching W33BY, Detroit, Highland Park, Michigan.
When County Community College over the past 50 years has evolved into the premier community college.
When you think of how far Wayne County Community College District has come since its humble beginnings.
I am so proud of where the college has gone, realizing the potential of our citizens.
The thousands and thousands of Detroiters who have gone on to careers made possible by the community college, it just makes this city enormously grateful.
Watch WHPR and TV 33 when you want, where you want, how you want. WHPR is now in your pocket. Download our free app by going to the App Store or Google Play and enter WHPR TV in the search engine. And there we are. You can download WHPR TV or radio. You heard about it. Now come be a part of it. Roku, Detroit, worldwide. Approximately 8 million viewers.
Once again, thank you so much, and thank you for your patience, and thank you for being there with us on this program today. It's about a minute after the hour. Jim Holley here with you on Hello Detroit. And once again, we say thank God for each and every one of you. Whether you're looking at it on today or are you looking at it on the weekend, a rebroadcast, I just want you to know we are very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you for today. If you're just joining us, and what we're really talking about, a couple of things. One is the piece about Michigan's children that have a parent, one or two parents in prison. Some 228,000 children that have a parent in prison. There are 42 to 43 prisoners, inmates in prison in the state of Michigan. There's some 5 million children throughout this country. This is black, brown, and white. Children, 5 million throughout the country of this country, United States, where you got 5 million children that have at least one or two parents in prison. And of course, again, many of those obviously are African American children. I don't have necessarily the statistics in terms of the number, but I do know and can tell you that when it comes down to about 1 out of 7 of those children are African American, and it comes out about 3 out of 10 Latino that's in that statistics. And of course, my sister brother, when it comes down to 1 out of 7, 3 out of 10, when it comes down to those two groups, compare it to the children, white children. So again, those are the kind of things that basically has to do with poverty. You know, this whole thing of you know, how do we get our children out of poverty? You know, I say to we have about 270, 325 children in our church, and many of them are teenagers. And I try to indicate it to them. You got to understand, when you have a child out of wedlock, it's a step toward poverty. And you young brothers have got to understand the same thing. And so again, we got to realize that somehow, some kind of way, we got to get our priorities right and start working through our priorities in order to raise up the generation. The other thing that I indicated to you is that I want to make sure that you know that I did have a meeting with about 32, 35 ministers, pastors on this past week, as I promised you I would. We sit around the table and we talked about the issue. What I found out is that there are some pastors already working on the behalf of the community, maybe a half a dozen of them that's already working on behalf of the community. I was not aware of that. I apologize to them because I would not have wasted their time of coming to talk about this issue. Should we meet with Judge Rose? If so, how can we help? How can we be supportive? Can we talk to Judge Rose about adult education? Where are we going with that? Can we talk to Judge Rose about special ed education? Where are we going with that? I know he basically have talked to the teachers. He talked to the board of the elected board last week. I understand that in that meeting that he just listened. Was no discussion. That he just listened, and of course that's good. That's good that he listened. Also, that we had one of the board members come and talk to this group of ministers that we sit around the table and give us a report on where we are with the legality, as well as negotiation, litigation, as well as demonstration. Where are we with all those three elements to this? How can we basically help as pastors and those kind of things? Because so many things are already going on. It doesn't make sense to duplicate matters just because I don't particularly like this person, I don't particularly like that person. It's about the issue. It's about our children. And this is what we got to understand, that I may not necessarily like your personality, Jim Holley. I may not like how you handle things, Jim Holley. I may not like your color, not like your way you talk. I may not like the way you walk, all of those kind of things. But when it comes down to it, forget about the personalities and just get down to the fact of what we're going to do for the children of the state of Michigan, and certainly the children of Detroit public school system. It's very interesting, a very interesting meeting. And again, I had to end up apologizing because I'm thinking that nobody was really saying anything about the crime. Nobody's really saying anything about with the judge. Where are we if there is a lawsuit? Where are we with the lawsuit? Will the lawsuit be really a state lawsuit, or will it be a federal government lawsuit? If the lawsuit is going to be about Title VI, which is in that all children the government has a responsibility of educating our children. And so those are the kind of questions that we talked about. These are the kind of things that to see what we can do. Many of you have asked that I would do that, and I'm saying to you that I'm trying to do that. But also I really come to realize that there's a lot of things going on that I just don't know nothing about, and it's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of things going on, obviously, that you don't know nothing about, and that's okay. It's okay. But the point is, can we all work together? And we cannot allow people to divide us and conquer us. We can't do that. We can't, whether you're Methodist, whether you're Baptist, whether you're Pentecostal, whether you whatever, that we got to realize that we're all in this thing together. They came for the Jews, and nobody speaked up. Nobody spoke up. They came for the carpenters. Nobody spoke up. They came for the Christians. Nobody spoke up. Then they came for me, and there was nobody left to speak up. And that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen, my sisters. But if we're not careful, that's really what's going to happen. And so I say to you, my sisters and brothers, that again, that these are some serious times in which we live in. I mean, if we're going to support Hillary, and it's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm a Democrat. I was just for Bernie, and I know Bernie got a long way to go and in a short time to get there. I understand that, but that's through the process. That's what it works. And then obviously, when the Democrats pick Hillary, and then that's where we go. But the point is, should we not basically say to Miss Hillary, yeah, I'm going to support you as a group. We're going to support you. Going to support you. But what are you going to do for us? What are you going to do for us? Mr. Obama couldn't get it done. Will you be able to get it done? And if so, how are you going to do a better job than Mr. Obama could? We knew why he couldn't get it done, but you're a little different. You're different, a little different from Mr. Obama. So how are you going to get it done? Are we going to be able to get people to work? Are we going to be able to do something about an infrastructure and really get people to work, which is what he wanted to do? What are we going to do about urban education, Madam President? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are you going to do that he couldn't get done? We know why he couldn't get it done, but you're a little bit different. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to attempt to do about it? We talk about prison reform. We know why he couldn't do it, but what you can do, because you're a little bit different. So what are you going to do different than he could do? Because we need to understand that we need to make sure that we do have prison reform. That you just can't go to prison for 20 years and come out worse than you that you went in. You have no GED. You have no skills or nothing when you come out. You don't have there's no culture that brings you out. Is there a bridge that basically where you bring when people on their way back to the community? Should there not be a bridge? And I'm sure it is somewhere. A bridge that basically has a transition for the prisoners back to the family. Should you send prisoners from this community all the way up until Siberia somewhere, so that we can't get the children can't get to the daddy, the wife can't get to the daddy, to make sure he stays human, that you don't devour his humanity. And these are the kind of things, and maybe it's just me. And I know, I'm like Bernie Mac, the late Bernie Mac was. Is that I know America, you don't want me, because you can't, I can't be bought, So I know you don't want me, Mr. America. But I'm just saying to you, my sisters and brothers, that again, that we have to realize that these are the things that really is the I don't know whether it's Emerson or what, Waldo, that these are times to try men's souls. So I'm just saying. Here's a piece I want to give to you, and I'll go to the phones. This is a piece, these are it says, the road to excellence for the troubled Michigan schools begins in Detroit. The Coalition of Future Detroit School System had laid out a comprehensive plan to make quality schools a new norm for Detroit families. Completed is a list of over 3 months that they worked on in order to bring the schools back into excellence. The choice is ours, according to the article that's here. And I give you the website so you can go and get the same thing that I got. So I'm not giving up no information that you shouldn't have or need to have, should not have. It's right there on the website. And that is that the choice is ours. If we want quality schools in all Detroit school system, we want quality schools for all Detroit school children, and quality schools across Michigan. We must make education a priority. And traditional public as well as public charter schools, we need to have a shared standard for all schools. Detroit, like many other school districts in Michigan, needs significantly better coordination and financial stability, and to provide real quality choices of school children and families. This is what this is the coalition. It's about 50 of them that met for 3 months in regards to this, and this is what they are saying that they want to see for the city of Detroit. To return the governance of Detroit Public Schools (DPS) to elected board. They should that the board should be elected, and turn this back over to the elected board. Second thing, the charter authorized and charter school boards should have transparency. They should have transparency. The other thing that they indicated here, that the state should assume the DPS debt, that the state should pay the debt of DPS. Also, create a new nonpartisan entity, a Detroit Education Commission, to coordinate and rationalize citywide education functions in partnership with regional councils to incorporate a neighborhood level of input. And then the other thing they indicated here is establish advisory school leadership teams next thing they're indicating, empower and fund the state school reform and state reform for the district. And then create shared systems of data, enrollment, and the neighborhood transportation. Now, that's just sort of like a synopsis of the recommendation. But you can go online and you can get this information. It is choice is ours Detroit dot TUMBLR.com, like tumbling. I'm not quite sure what that. It is choice in our Detroit dot TUMBLR.com, and I apologize, but I'm just not familiar with that term. And so again, if you need me to give you this again, I'd be able to get this to you. But this is the thing, and I think that it is a point to work with. It's something to work with. But again, my sisters and brothers, but it doesn't seem like that this is where we're going with this. As far as I can see it, maybe you got another view of this. But I'm saying to you is that then the whole thing, when you talk about Mr. Judge Rose, and I'm hopefully that I get a chance to have a meeting with him. I'm sure after these being on this television, I doubt if I get there, but we'll see. Because I'm not trying to. This is not anti anybody. I'm just trying to say to you, my sisters and brothers, that we got to get busy. There's no plans that we have for 2016 2017 school year. We don't know. We have no plans of how we're going to basically have summer school, and these young people need it. They really need it. We don't have any plans. What we're going to do? We have to go through another year or two, what we've been through already, and then should teachers, will all the teachers be basically have to start all over again with their contract? They got to apply for their jobs all over again. So you have there's no seniority, or do you have more? You have teachers coming out of school the first time, so that you have to pay them as much as you would pay a senior teacher, And so again, like the water in Flint, is always about money, and if you really try to do the shortcut, you're going to end up poisoning our children mentally, as you did with physically. With the water, the water in Flint, as you're going to do with here in the city of Detroit in terms of education, going to cut corners. And that's the reason why I suggest that we ought to basically put some money together and sue the federal government under Title VI. That they have an obligation. We've lost the lawsuit with the state, and we're not going to get into with the state. The climate is what it is. That's the reason why you got to vote, to make sure you get the right judges and the right people to make the decisions about these judges. And so we got to go to the federal government. And that's why I'm saying, Larry, the federal government, you just can't throw them away. You got to understand they have an obligation to the people of this community and of urban America. I mean, look at what's happening in Afghanistan. Look what's happening in Iraq. You got better schools in Iraq, in the war zone in Iraq than you got here in the city of Detroit. So something is wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. And so the question that I raise is the Judge Rose an emergency manager, or is a transitional manager? Well, Reverend, what's the difference, Reverend? What's the difference? What's the difference, Reverend? What's the difference? There is a big difference. There is a big difference. And again, you just need you to know that an emergency manager has to report and got to be transparent to the legislature up in Lansing. But a transitional manager is not, he don't have to report to anybody. He can do what the heck he wants to do. Transitional, he does what he wants to do. He's got total control. He's, for lack of a better word, he's the god of Detroit public school system. Yes, I said it. If you basically have no one to answer to, my sisters and brothers, now I could be wrong, and you can call me, you will, I know, and say, Reverend, you just don't know what the heck you're talking about. You don't have nothing you know what you're talking about, Reverend. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'm just telling you, my sisters and brothers, there is a difference. And when they don't call him emergency manager, they call him transitional manager. And so you know, well, you know, and you don't have to be in who's who to know the word, to understand the word transition. You don't have to be a PhD to understand that. You don't have to be in who's who to know that. So I'm just saying to my sisters and brothers, you continue to, you know, I'm telling you, calling you in touch. How are you this morning?
Phew. Hi, Reverend Holley. How you doing?
Just fine. Thank you for calling.
First of all, I'd like to say there is no difference between the so-called transitional manager and emergency manager. Once again, they're low IQ in the public with semantics, so that's that. He's an emergency manager. But what the issue I wanted to talk about was in reference back to incentives for the Detroiters that have stuck it out to stay here. Now, we've had programs under Coleman Young, the Honorable Coleman Young, called nuisance abatement, which I just don't have any reason to, I can't imagine why they wouldn't have carried that on. And that was, you could buy a house for $1 if it was owned by the city, and you had a certain amount of time to bring it up to code, and that would be your house, which would make more money for the tax rolls. Now, that made absolutely all kinds of sense. But when Archer got into office, he disbanded that program. So, therefore, we of sound mind would have to think there is a conspiracy to drive the native Detroiters, if you will, out of Detroit. Mayor Duggan took a program that was a grant where people could apply to fix their homes up, specifically the elderly who are on fixed incomes if they need a new roof, whatever, this porch fixed, steps, this, that, and the third. He turned it into a loan. And I don't care if it's a zero-interest loan. A loan is a loan that has to be paid back. Why did he do that? That didn't make any sense. That's why these people are losing their homes. These elderly people are on fixed incomes, and they cannot keep their property up because they can't afford it. But we as taxpayers are supposed to have this money come back to us in some form or fashion. Now, just as he turned those loans, granted to a loan, he could have taken some of that demolition money and given it to the citizens to fix up their homes. But what did he do? They inflated the prices, and the contractors got all the extra money. So if anybody with a scintilla of a brain can see that there's a certain group of people, they want to vacate the premises. And these people are black folks. So, it is no conspiracy because I can see right through it, and everybody else should be able to, too. No reason for that man to have turned a grant into a loan. Right. And then they try to, make us seem like, oh, you're getting such a good deal because it's zero interest. Oh, so what? I don't care if it's zero interest. If I can't pay a loan, I can't pay a loan, period. But a grant, it's part of my tax dollars that I've been paying for 30 or 40 years, so to speak. Some of that money is coming back to me. But now we can't even get our own tax dollars to come back to us and serve us as a community. Right. So there is two Detroits, and all these people going around talking in all this semantic language like we're stupid and don't know what's going on. We all are not stupid, and I was educated in DPS. I have common sense and book sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the call. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, Dr. Holley. As you were speaking, you touched on a lot of things that have a meaning. They're all connected. But what I'm looking at, okay, first of all, let me reference this first. I'm 70 years old. Okay, I've raised my children, 2 of mine and 5 of my wife's by marriage. They're all gone and they're fine. Okay, as much as I can, and they're starting to have children. Now, what I've seen is I'm not an authority on Greek mythology, but there's a thing called Pandora's box. When you open up this avenue, you really can't. You open up the evilness in people. Yeah. What I'm seeing in this 70 years. So I have to compare myself to my parents who are passed on and their achievements and whatnot. And then I also adapted to the millennials that you see. As I say, my father bought a brand new house on 8 Mile Road. Well, he purchased the house. Took him 30 years, and he died at 60 from a heart attack. So when I say 30 years, he bought the house someplace around his late 20s, and he had, and I was born in that house, so he had 5 kids. Mm-hmm. There was 5 of us. There's only 2 of us left. A millennial looks at this and says, you know what? That's a box I'm not going down. Okay, especially if I have to run this race, and I started out, and my father he came from the South, he opened a business, did things that I know that are unachievable today because of the obstacles that people in the capitalist system put forward. Not that you can't do it, but this is the way we live in America. Now, I can't compare if it's better than in communism or socialism. I'm just talking about America. Okay. But a millennial looks at this and he says, I've got $100,000 worth of debt. I've done everything right. How long will it take me to pay off this $100,000 debt? How can I raise a family of even equivalent to what I did? 2 kids, not 7. Right. How can I buy a house? My father's house that he purchased was $4,000. That same house is listed, which we still own in the family, the one that's left, at $60,000. It's not. Who's going to buy that house for $60,000? Whatever is it going to take? Whatever. That's what the millennials are looking at. And when you look at Trump, he says, we're going to go back. Go back to what? Go back to where my father's area was? When you look at Hillary, and she says, well, I can do a better job. A better job at what? Right. At what? At the same old thing? And when you look at Bernie Sanders, he says, no, we have to make a change. Now, they still always had actuaries. So my life expectancy, I'm looking at people that's passing on, is if I'm 70 now, maybe I got 14 years now of life. That's the reality of it. Gotcha. Maybe Jesus will grant me a little further. I'm working on that.
Gotcha.
But my energies is not going backwards.
I know.
It is trying to mentor and tutor. But those problems, what I'm looking at, the problems that we're facing, the problem you're discussing is millennials are going to solve this problem.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I'm trying to focus on hope and reality at the same time.
Gotcha.
Okay, let me just stop right there because I'll just ramble on and whatnot.
I thank you for the call, though. I really do.
You.
No, thank you. Let me just say this to you, Junior. Can you give me a close up? Can you give me just a look, not to verge where I'm gonna be uglier than what I am, because I need to drop this on you guys. I need to drop this on you. Let me just see if just give me because I want you to get this. Okay. I just want to get this to you. I want to get this close up. I want you to eyeball to eyeball, cheek to cheek. I want to get this, my sister brother. Let me tell you something. Next month in June, that every year in June, the school gets around $10 million in June. They might get it sometime in June. $10 million. By time of July comes by, it's anywhere from another $5 to $10 million. The school board would get the school, Detroit Public Schools would get anywhere from $15 to $20 million, $20 to $25 million. Now, this isn't the only reason why I get this close up to you, because I want you to understand. I want you to understand, my sister, brother, is that then the question is, where is this money going? If I give you $10 million and give you another $10 million, where in the world is this money going? We can't get toilet paper. We can't get pencils and books and all this kind of stuff. Now, this is not, this is, we do this. This is something that, Reverend, where does this money come? I think it comes from, it comes from the county. Yeah, the county treasurer. Yeah, that's right. The county treasurer. Not from the city, from the county treasurer. The county treasurer drops off based upon the money they collect. They take it to Westland and give them some money. They take it to the other land and give them some money. Take it to Warren, I don't know Warren, but to wherever's in Wayne County, give them something. Those 30, 40 some counties, and then you give some money to the school system, and so you got 10 million, then another possibly another 10 million. That's 20 million or more that goes from the Wayne County to the school, and where does it come from? I mean, what do you do with it? I know where it comes from. What do you do with it? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I take a break. I got to take a break. You guys give me another stroke. I'll be back.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of W33BY, its affiliates, management, or sponsors. You're watching W33BY, Detroit, Highland Park, Michigan.
Wayne County Community College is a beacon of hope for so many people who can see the impact it's made, and that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary and all the good that it's done.
It has been the pathway for so many to obtain a higher education.
Congratulations to Wayne County Community College for 50 years of service to Detroit, Wayne County, and all of Southeast Michigan.
Making education much more available and affordable. 50th year is just the beginning of the first century.
Your radio is now on TV. Your TV is now on radio. WHPR 88.1 FM can now be heard and seen worldwide. The same platform that hosts all of your favorite content now has WHPR TV and radio. Have your own radio or TV show on Roku with approximately 8 million homes, starting as low as $50. Debut your music video, clothing line, church ministry, plays, or products. A limited number of slots are available, so act now. For more information, visit RokuDetroit.com or call 313-868-6612. You heard about it. Now come be a part of it. Roku Detroit Worldwide. Approximately 8 million viewers.
Once again, thank you so much, and thank you for being there with us this morning. Going back to the phones, one of the problems that we're having with senior citizens is this reverse mortgage. Now, my sisters and brothers, I'm going to be very careful, but I'm telling you that a lot of our seniors losing their home because understand this reverse mortgage. They put stars on there, credible, so-called credible stars and all like that. But you got to still pay your taxes. You can have a reverse mortgage, get the money, and you stay in the home, but you also got to pay the taxes. And that's what they don't tell you. They don't tell you that. I sell my home. I do a reverse mortgage, and so I can tell me that my family can get it when I pass on. They can buy it back. But you also, while I'm still living, I still got to pay the taxes. I got the money from the reverse mortgage, but I still got to pay the tax. And this are a lot of things the senior citizens, they don't tell them, and they get in this situation because they need money, trying to make it. And so the money is an incentive, but they forget or they're not aware of the fact that they're not, that the mortgage company is not going to pay the taxes. They hold the deed. Okay, you keep calling you in touch. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Reverend Holley, Deputy Chief. How you doing?
All right.
Okay, let me help you out on your issue of Judge Rhodes, transitional manager or emergency manager. Judge Rhodes is an emergency manager. When you do your research and look up the definition of transition management, that's an approach to sustainable development, okay? The goal of transition management is geared towards enabling, facilitating, and guiding social, technical, and political transformation, okay? The approach seeks to widen participation by encouraging bottom-up approaches that are supported in a top-down manner. And by Judge Rhodes not meeting with the school board for over 3 months, that shows that he's not a transitional manager. And when you really look at the long term, transition managers will seek to completely transform the system through the process of creative destruction. In other words, to destroy DPS, which some of us have been saying all the time. And you can Google transition management, transitional manager, and see that's what's happening. Folk like the governor and others, they are throwing out words that most of us don't take the time to research the definition. And so we're running around speaking on emotions and what someone else has said instead of looking it up ourselves.
Reverend, what's the give me the definition of the emergency manager.
The emergency manager comes in when the emergency manager seeks to correct the financial discrepancies in a city. Okay, they control everything financially in a city that have failing finances, and it takes the power away from the elected officials. And then there's a paragraph in this emergency management clause that prove why emergency management in Michigan is not in the white community, because that clause gives the governor the right to deny a city that's under emergency management. It denies the people the right to vote. That's why Snyder and Schuette was in court a month ago fighting, and that was their argument, that the citizens of Detroit have no right to vote. If the governor wanted to take it away, if he wanted to invoke his right, he could, and the people of Detroit would have no right to vote. And the crazy part about it, a federal judge agreed, and he agreed because the subject of right to vote has never been approved by the federal courts.
Okay, all right.
Okay, then your subject about the money to help people stay out of foreclosure. Okay, what's happening there, Reverend Holley? There is a plan in place. It's the hardest hit funds. That money was set aside by Congress to help people stay out of foreclosure. Okay, it was like $7.8 billion with a B to help 19 jurisdictions, including the District of Columbus, Washington, D.C. The problem is what Mayor Duggan has done, instead of going in and telling the Treasury Department, give me some money to help my citizens stay out of foreclosure, he went in and said, give me some money for demolition. And that's the problem. So, we have a mayor that's not fighting for the people that he was supposed to be representing. We have a mayor that's fighting for himself, his family, his constituents that contribute to his campaign. Altogether, since 2014, Detroit have received over $172 million to fight blight. That $172 million, Reverend Holley, is the taxpayers' money, which was set aside under the hardest hit funds to help Detroit citizens or residents stay out of foreclosure. And Duggan refused to use it for that. He's using it for demolition, again, so that he can make some money and his friends can make some money. And that's the fact.
All right. Respectively, disagree about, we got 9 people on the city council that's supposed to also have, there's a checks and balance, and I'm saying to you, my sisters and brothers, that indeed, that we all part of it, we all in fault of this, in terms of trying to make sure that the citizens are get some of this. I'm not. I just. I don't. I think that it has nothing to do with the mayor trying to get money for him and his family. I just disagree with all that. But again, let me just say this to you, Chief. I Googled it, transitional like you did, and emergency manager. I Googled it 2 or 3 times. I basically had my lawyer to basically give me a interpretation of it, and understand that indeed, then if the transitional, if he's the emergency manager, he's not talking about money now. We're talking about curriculum. We're talking about what kind of are we gonna have a school system at all? There's a whole lot of things that's on the plate there, and I'm just saying to you is that I disrespectfully disagree, and that we whatever you want to call him, I'm saying to you, indeed we have to be what we say down south. He bears watching, the governor bears watching. And I'm saying to you, as my sisters and brothers, we got to make sure that again that we have an opportunity to participate in what's going on here. And I give the information. You can say I'm full of emotion and all this kind of stuff. You can say it if you want to. I am that kind of guy. I'm a passionate person. I do talk with emotions, and I don't talk politically correct and all this kind. I understand that. But I'm saying to you is that sometimes I get all bent out of shape. I understand that. But I'm just saying to you is that the bottom line is that I don't see nothing on the horizon for our kids. I don't see nothing on the horizon for adult education. I don't see nothing on the horizon for vocation, VOTEC. I don't see nothing on the horizon to what we're going to do in terms of getting ready. Where are the jobs going to be for the next 25 years? And why aren't we have a training program in place for those jobs for the next 25 years? If I'm going to need this, this is why should I be going to school and getting educated about something that's not going to be beneficial to me and my family when I get out of school. And I'm just saying to you is that these are the kind of things that I'm just trying my best to come to every Saturday morning to preach in a way, to teach in a way, but basically not to complain, but try to explain to you what's going on around this region and what's going on in this state. And it's fine. I'm not going to sit up here and like I'm going to try and insult your intelligence and I'm Mr. It and that. I'm not none of that. But I'm just saying to you, my sisters and brothers, that when I'm telling you, 10 to 15, 20 million is going to go to the schools for the next in 2 months. It did last year. It did before then. It did before then. It did before then. It did before then. Where's the money? Where is it going? The Wayne County Treasury Department does this. And so, All right. Call you in touch. Hurry this morning. Good morning. Are you there?
Morning.
Yes.
I'm here.
Yes.
I want to know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
I'm 70 years old, senior citizen in Detroit, Michigan, native Detroiter. I contacted the mayor, spoke with him on the Malik Shabazz show. He claimed he couldn't hear me, so I know that if you say you can hear me, he heard what I asked. I simply asked for services for senior citizens of Detroit. He told me to call Kevin Orr and laughed, so I guess it was a joke, and it is a joke. There are no services in Detroit, Michigan that I know of that will help a senior stay in their home as far as home repairs. The money under the NOF grant that we used to have was given to various community agencies and organizations to do so. I spoke with Mr. Trotter, and he told me that's where the money is. There is no longer any grants for senior citizens to get home repairs. So the money went to the community organizations that basically don't exist. And if you call them, there's nothing or any part of their program that will assist senior citizens. If there is, I wish somebody would call in and let us know.
Okay.
I think you speak of your attorney. I think your attorney needs to Google or do whatever research to find out how much money was given to these so-called community organizations and where is the money? What are they doing with the money that they receive? Somebody needs to do a research on that.
Okay. All right.
Under the Freedom of Information Act and find out who these so-called community organizations are and total the money that Mayor Doug N. Dugan, whatever his name is, did with the money.
Right.
And why was all that money awarded to community organizations? Right. And what are they doing for the community at large in Detroit, Michigan? I was also informed that they bypassed Detroit and gave the money to, over here on the east side, gave the money to organizations in Harper Woods and St. Clair Shores.
Okay.
So there's no money set aside or awarded to Detroit senior citizens. That's the reason why I'm calling and speak of an incentive. There is no incentive. And if there is, and there are any organizations out there, would you please, callers listening, would you please let us know?
Yes, ma'am. And we hear you loud and clear. We'll call you in touch early this morning.
Can you hear me, Reverend Holley?
Yes, I can.
Oh, happy Saturday to you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time that you take to research information that you share with us. And I wanted to ask, the paper that you read a little while back, I don't know who put that together, but within the language, is it recommending the DEC in the article that you read?
Yes,
Well, I have a serious concern about that because even Dr. Petroni said at the meeting this past week that he spoke with board members from other school districts around the county and around the state. And they have objections to the DEC because what that does is it puts another layer of government and control over the school board. Right. And those elected officials that he spoke with said that they are very concerned about somebody else having control over whether their schools open or close, and someone else having the control over the contracts. And this is also one of the concerns of the elected board, and why they and members of the community and others keep asking for a forensic audit. And when Rhodes was at the meeting on Tuesday, he was asked if he would support a forensic audit, and he said, I'm not opposed to it. So he was asked a couple of additional times, and finally he said, well, you'd have to be specific. And he said, I've dealt with a lot of auditors and forensic audits, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the board members said, well, we specifically are concerned about the kinds of contracts that are being let out and the quality of the work, which is abysmal, by those who receive the contract dollars. So he seemed to have finally gotten the point.
Right.
And we are looking forward to that coming to the forefront, that forensic audits will be done. Rhodes was stating that the cost for a forensic audit is high, and that's generally what the objection is. People running for office will say, oh, yes, I'll do a forensic audit. And then when they get elected, they'll say, oh, it's too expensive. Well, I think it's too expensive not to do it.
Got you.
And so one of the other board members said to Rhodes, the state should pay for the forensic audit since it's the state that has been in control since John Engler was governor. And you know, when Granholm was in office, and I think she was a Republican and Democrats close, by the way, she was the one that coined the phrase of an emergency manager. However, we had a number of people who were performing the same kinds of acts, and starting with Adam Manning, who was the president of Wayne State University. And John Engler took him from a state university down to a K through 12. I always thought that was a little strange. And his charge was to take the school center building for Wayne State, which he did. And we went on to have, Burnley and Coleman and Freeman Hendricks and some others. And then we get to Granholm, who came up with this fluffy little term. But this DEC is bad for the Detroit Public School District. And when you look at what's going on in some of the other cities around the United States, you will notice that they, too, are attempting to destroy public education. And other public employment has been beneficial for the black community. So everything is turned over to charters and to private, and our dollars end up with authorities. And my definition of an authority is a private group of people who take our public dollars and distribute them to their personal friends.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
And that was noticed when Coleman Alexander Young was elected mayor of the city of Detroit. Two of the first ones were the Building Authority and the Downtown Development Authority, as I'm sure you remember.
All right. Thank you so much, Theo. Appreciate it very much for the call. My time is running. I'm going to get a couple more calls in. There's some things, Theo, and I hear you about the DEC. What she's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is they're suggesting that they would have a Detroit Education Commission that basically will oversee the school system with the elected officials, school board. And like I said, we can't get everything at this particular point. Like we couldn't get everything when it comes down to the city, because the city has the same thing. They have basically a commission that's over the budget and so forth, as to make sure, so-called, that they would not, the city would not do the same, make the same mistakes again. But again, I'm okay with the DEC, with the understanding if that's the only way we can get the money to get the debt done and to move on, and because it can be a good balance between the two, especially, for example, if say that I decided that I want to have a elementary school, a DPS elementary school in my neighborhood, and I have enough students to basically to support that. Then the DEC will make sure I can bring that up to them, or you can bring that up to them, and they can execute that and say that it is, that it can be possible, so that we can really reconstitute education, community education, rather than having these kids walk in box to a school when we can have a school right there in the community. So that's the other piece that I really like about it, Theo, in regards to that. And then obviously, if you be specific with the audit, for the audit that you're talking about, I think that can work. But to have an audit for the whole district, it may take 10 years and take another $100 million to do that. But if we be specific, that somehow, some kind of way, that is basically that is doable. Caller, thank you for your patience. Sorry this morning.
Reverend Holley, the more I hear the callers and I also hear you speak, sir, the more that I feel, and I'm hoping that the listening audience also is transitioning to this thought, that our founding fathers had figured this thing out way before they actually implemented the Declaration of Independence. And it came by experience. They understood that government, when government becomes a power to and of itself, it is the right, no, it is the duty, it is the responsibility of the people to overthrow that government and install new ones. Now, Reverend Holley, that was nothing radical that I just invented off the top of my head and I came up with. The founding fathers said that. Now, they understand that there will come a time where government would not represent the people and the people would become slaves to the government. That is what we're doing. Reverend Holley, in our democracy that we have here in the city of Detroit, financial manager, where did that come up at? Why only us? Where does that fit into this whole concept of democracy? Financial manager. Where does it fit in, Reverend Holley, when we have two of the worst people possibly that's running president of the United States, and we have to choose between them? Reverend Holley, where did they come up with this whole thing about homosexuality and gays marrying and becoming families and becoming heads of families and dictating policy? I'm not for that, Reverend Holley. Whatever happens to separation of church and state? Why does someone else's religious perspectives infringe on my beliefs and what I believe? It makes no sense, sir. We need an alternative government, and we need it now. Thank you.
Call you in touch. How are you?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Reverend Holley.
Hi.
I feel like we need to close the churches down and all get together, and we need to have a march. Every Sunday, we need to have a march. We need to get it together. We just need to, we need to fight. That's what we need to do. That's exactly what we need to do.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate you so much. And I hear the frustration in your voice as it had been in mine for the last 2 hours. I thank you so much. And anyway, I thank you for being there with us every Saturday morning. Get the word out, that we can basically, sometimes I feel like locking myself in the studio, protesting until I can get 1,000 people outside the door, and to be able to tell you, my sisters and brothers, that somehow, some kind of way, if we don't get it together, then they're going to get us together. And I'm just saying to you is that I feel that way from time to time, that I must lock myself in. I know that I can't make you watch me, but I will certainly do everything I can to let you understand that indeed that we cannot continue to do this to our children. We cannot continue to do it. This is unacceptable. That's all I got to say. It's unacceptable. Thank you so much. J.D. Hill is coming up next.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of W33BY, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.